What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys either like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Alright, y'all. These last few years have been kind of rough for a lot of folks. I swear it feels like everything is going up except our wages. And because of this fact, a lot of people have decided to pick up additional jobs. Sometimes it's another full-time job, maybe it's a part-time job, or maybe they turn to a side hustle and do something like gig work. And so many people have been signing up that it's not uncommon that you have to be put on a wait list. So you might wonder, if so many people are signing up to do gig work, there has to be something great about it, right? And if it's so great, why not just do it full-time to replace your job? So that's what we're going to go ahead and discuss today. Whether or not you should do gig work full-time or just keep it as a side hustle. So why is gig work so attractive in the first place? Well, first of all, it's super easy to sign up. Only thing you have to do is sign up through an app or go directly to their website. Just give your basic information. You just do a background check. And if you're lucky, if there's no wait list, usually you can go ahead and get on the platform within a couple days. Besides the easy sign-up process, the main thing that attracts people to this type of work is flexibility and the independence. Depending on the app, you could just simply turn it on and go out there and just start doing runs. And other apps allow you to go ahead and pre-schedule ahead of time, so it's not uncommon that you can actually go and plan out a few days in advance. And most of the time, you know exactly how much money you're going to be making. So that all sounds great, right? Why would somebody not want to do this full time? You can work when you want to, you don't have to report to anybody, and yeah, it sounds all great, right? Well, let's not get too excited, okay? There's a few factors that you have to consider before you actually decide to do gig work full time. So honestly, the ideal person to do gig work full time is probably going to be single with no kids. Maybe they rent and have a roommate, but they probably don't have too many responsibilities, because this type of work can take up quite a bit of your time. And the money at the end of all of that, it's so-so. Now, I'm not saying that if you are married and you have kids, you can't do this type of work, because there are plenty of people that do it. The other thing to consider is what market you're in. The cost of living is going to affect a lot. So if you're in a major city, you're obviously going to have to bring in a lot more money to be able to make ends meet. And you may be able to do that because, yeah, there's probably going to be a lot more orders available for you. But again, that amount of time that you have, that plays a huge part. And I'll go ahead and get into that in a bit. So with all these factors to consider, a lot of people might say that gig work is not sustainable. And I'm kind of 50-50 with this. So while yes, working these super long hours, wearing your car down, wearing your body down, you can't keep doing that forever. Maybe you have a goal in mind. Maybe you're in between jobs and you're just doing this temporarily. But there have been a lot of people that have been successful. And the main reason they've been successful is because they treat this like a business. Because technically, yourself, you are the business. So you're solely responsible for everything. So your health care and other benefits, you don't get sick days, you got to pay your taxes at the end of the year. There's just a lot that you have to be responsible for. And the reason I say you treat this like a business is because you can actually start venturing off into other business endeavors so you can bring in additional income on top of the gig work. You have some people that go ahead and give YouTube a try. Some people might go ahead and try to start their own brand. Even myself, I'm thinking about jumping into the merch side of things. A handful of different business endeavors so you don't have to rely solely on gig work. So that's what I mean by treating it like a business, because yourself, you are the business, you are the brand, and you have to have multiple streams of income. So gig work can be seen as that stepping stone that kind of gets your foot in the door. And then from there, you can go ahead and venture out into different other areas. I've always wanted to get into entrepreneurship, but I just didn't really know how to get there. So this is kind of like that stepping stone for me. And the best part about it is I actually enjoy what I do. Now, to kind of backtrack a little bit, remember that I said that you are responsible for pretty much everything. So your taxes, your benefits, you don't get sick days, nothing like that, right? So I don't know if you guys remember a few months ago, our lovely government decided to pass a bill which essentially was going to change the classification of independent contractors and change them to employees so they can go ahead and get benefits like employees, right? Well, it's been 2 months since that bill got passed, and Nothing's come of it. So I don't know if it's going to be something down the line or if it's just not going to affect gig workers. Only time will tell. But I wanted to go ahead and discuss that briefly because there were some people that were kind of for independent contractors getting changed to employee status because that meant more stability for them. The thing about the gig economy is it's very unpredictable. The amount of money that you make on a daily or weekly basis, it can fluctuate. There's ongoing issues with lack of pay from the apps. We've seen the issue with Walmart Spark. You know, it's pretty much an unusable app. And of course, a lot of times, depending on what app you're using, you are really hoping that the customers have the decency to give you a tip. Because believe it or not, a lot of the money that people make off of these apps, it does come in the form of tips. And because of that unpredictability, a lot of people, they were actually for that bill getting passed. Because going from independent contractor, someone who's solely responsible for pretty much everything, to employee status, now the employer has to go ahead and make sure you're taken care of. You can go ahead and get your benefits, you can go ahead and get your PTO days, all of that. And that's the other thing you got to take into consideration. If you run into any type of issue, because remember, you are using your personal vehicle. So if you have car trouble and you are not able to get on the road for a day or two or a week or whatever it may be, you are SOL. You ain't getting no money. If you get sick, you ain't getting no money. If there's an emergency, you ain't getting no money. So you have to have money saved up. So like I said, some people were for that. But in my opinion, if you want that stability, I think you should just go and get a W-2 job. That's just how I see it. Gig work has been great for me because I can literally just go out and work when I want to. I'm able to go ahead and fit that in my schedule. So I already got to work my 8 hours a day. I got to also go and do what I need to do for my mom as a caretaker, and whatever other personal things I might have to do, whether it's for the channel or just for me or whatever it may be. You know, I can go ahead and fit that gig work in perfectly, and that works for me. I don't want to go ahead and give up that freedom. But enough about that. I already did a video about it. Maybe I'll do an update if there has been some new changes to it, but you know, that'll be sometime in the future. But in regards to whether or not you should do this full time or just on the side, that's really up to you to decide. It's based off of your own situation, what goals you have in mind, you know, a handful of things. One thing I will say is if you are considering switching over and just doing gig work full time, do not get caught up with what you see online. You may see people showing like, hey, look at all of this money I can make. I made this much in a day, this and that. You know, that looks cool and all, but their experience may not be your experience, especially if they're in a completely different market. You don't know how that app actually works in your own personal market. So do not go and be like, yo, I'm about to quit my job and I'm about to go ahead and get into gig work, because I guarantee you it is not gonna be pretty. What you see online is just a small piece of the whole story, right? Even with myself, I go ahead and do the best I can to show you guys everything, but a 10 or 15 minute video isn't gonna tell you how my entire week goes. I literally only do a handful of deliveries a week. But sure, you can go ahead and see how things operate from my perspective as somebody who does this every now and then. But even if you were to go and watch somebody who does this type of work full time, you know, there's still a lot of other factors that you have to consider where you might not be as successful as that person that you're watching. That kind of reminds me of that guy that is in Hawaii, and I think they did an article about him, about how he made $100,000 on DoorDash. And on the outside looking in, you know, somebody might be like, oh my goodness, you know, I need to go ahead and start doing DoorDash. You know, I can make that much money, I can do that, and blah, 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 blah. No. First of all, Hawaii is an extremely expensive state. $100,000 in Hawaii ain't nothing. $100,000 in another state might be pretty good, but that's still not really anything to brag about. This guy, I think he was saying he was working anywhere between like 16 to 20 hours a day. I don't understand how you can function off of that, first of all. Like, you literally work and sleep, and then you probably eat on the road or something, or like you don't have time to do anything. You literally have to work so many hours in order to make that amount of money. And that's the type of stuff that I'm talking about that is not sustainable. Anybody that brags about working 80 plus hours a week or 16-hour days, like multiple times throughout the week, I do not see that as a flex at all. You are wearing not only your car down, because the more you use that car, the more often you got to go get maintenance, the more often you're probably going to have issues and you're going to have to get repairs, the more gas you're going to have to put in your car. You know, besides that part, wearing your car down, you are wearing your body down in so many ways. You cannot be out here with bare minimum sleep, probably eating like crap because you're working so much, so you got to eat a bunch of stuff on the go. Mental health is probably shot. You know, physically you're probably doing okay because you're doing so much walking back and forth, but no, that is not a flex to me at all. If anything, the goal should be to earn more by working less. And that's why I say the people who did do this full time, possibly at one point in their lives, I'm thinking of a couple YouTubers off the top of my head, you know, some of them did do it full time and they still do it full time, but because they have other business practices in place, they don't have to be out there for 12, 14, 16 hours a day because they have other ways of bringing in income. And that should be, honestly, the main goal at the end of the day. Like I said, earn more by working less. It's honestly up to you what path you decide you want to go when it comes to doing gig work. If you want to do it full time, if you just want to do it on the side in addition to your W-2. But whatever journey you take, make sure you actually have a goal in mind and you're just not out here working endless hours on top of hours on top of hours, wearing yourself down. You only got one life to live. You got to have a plan in mind. You got to have a plan. And I'm not saying that, you know, doing it full time is not the way to go, but like I said, it's going to be a few different things that you have to consider as far as if it's actually something that works for you. You know, if you have kids, if you have a spouse, or whatever other obligations you might have, you know, don't sacrifice that to make a few extra $100, you know, within a couple days or whatever. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. Because at the end of it all, you don't want to go ahead and look back and have regrets that you prioritized your gig work over what was actually important. So just make the best decision, weigh your pros and your cons out, and, you know, go from there. Just go from there. But that's really all I got for this video. I would love to hear if there are any individuals out there still doing gig work full time, or if there are individuals that would just prefer to do it on the side, part time. Let me know in the comments. Now, before I go, I have to remind you guys to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.